to order. This is the meeting of the Green Bay Housing Authority for Thursday, June 23rd, 2022. We have a quorum. So moving on to agenda item C, approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda for today's meeting?
I'll motion that.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Are there any additions or corrections or modifications to the agenda? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Moving on. Approval of the minutes from the May 19th, 2022 meeting of the Green Bay Housing Authority. Those are in your packet. Are there any additions, corrections, or modifications? If none, I entertain a motion to approve. Approve.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. Then moving on to regular business. Item 1, consideration with possible action on writing off delinquent tenant accounts effective June 30, 2022.
Stephanie?
Right. That would be me. This is something that we do annually, actually semi-annually. So we did have quite a few accounts and it would just be Mason Manor this year. But they only totaled $1,197. So I'm hoping I will still continue to track those. And with that being said, I just all our old files and moving everything I could from just the tax intercept program to the state debt collection program, which is still within the state's purview, but they will now contact anyone that they can to try to have a repayment agreement set up. So we have moved now everybody that was in the old system that I could over to that. So hopefully we'll see more, but we'll still get any taxes should they come through.
So we write these off the books, but we continue to collect the money.
Try to collect them.
Yep.
So Casey, did you get me my information? Because I have no chat screen on the bottom. I'm sorry to interrupt, Bill.
So because we're recording now, if I chat your username and password to you, it's going to be recorded. So we'll email it.
So then what you want to do is just email it to me.
Yes.
If you would, please.
Yes. I'm going to try to from this computer. I don't know how, but I'm going to try.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. Any questions for Stephanie? No. Then is there a motion to approve the write-offs?
I'll approve that.
All right, we have a motion and we have a second by Steve. Any further questions?
Sandy, you comfortable?
Without seeing it, yes. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So all in favor of the write-off signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any? Motion carries. Then moving on to item number 2, consideration with possible action on approval of the annual site certification resolutions for 2022 through probably 2024, I would guess.
Is it 2 years or is it a 1 year?
It's not through, it's -04. That's the resolution number.
Okay.
All right.
This is an annual certification saying, it's part of our plan that we do this every year. And I'm looking for the wording in here. It conforms with our civil rights of 1964, the Fair Housing Act. So it's just saying that we're going to continue to adhere to those rules, which I would never think that this group would ever not want to adhere to fair housing rules. But in order for us to get our grants, we do have to have one of these approved every year. And I just was finishing up my paperwork for our CFP funds for this year and noticed that we didn't have this yet. So that is why it's on here.
All right. Any other questions? Otherwise, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I will second that.
All right, very good. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Very good. Thank you.
You
Item
need to
3.
sign that, Bill, as well.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
I will. My secretary is gone until Monday, so it may be Monday before you get it, but I'll sign it, just scan it and email it back to you.
Sounds
All right,
good.
great. Item 3, consideration with possible action on approval of GBHA operating budget and budget resolution 2022-03 for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2022. This was something I think we had tabled at the last meeting, so we had more of a chance to review it. Anybody have any questions regarding this? Or maybe Stephanie, give us a run through.
Most of it is pretty much what we have done every year, with the exception that there is no scattered sites. This has scattered sites is now under a different entity. And with that, the training budget, it does show that half of the training is for Mesa Manor and scattered sites, because as of right now, we are unsure what entity is going to need what training, or if a percentage of each training would be for like the scattered sites, or Mesa Manor. So we just put it all together, and we do know it's an estimate right now, until we get further into what we may need. So that's the two big changes that you'll see this year.
Which is why GBHA Properties 1 needs to meet after this, because you have to approve the scattered site budget.
Yep.
It's a budget. You did the best you could with figuring that out. That makes sense to me.
All right.
Yeah, I appreciate that you're kind of going through it because I can't see it right now. So that's really helpful. So thanks, Stephanie.
Not a problem.
Did you get you didn't get the information, Sandy? Casey, can you just write it down and run it up here? One of you run it up here?
Jamie, I texted you. Can you check your phone?
Oh, I don't have it on me. 1 second.
Okay.
So I'll just go through, since you can't see anything, Sandy, I'll just kind of go through the background that I have on here. The Central Office Cost Center, which is the COCC, which covers most of the admin part of the overall of Green Bay Housing Authority, not Mesa Manor admin or scattered sites admin. Well, not scattered sites, sorry, habit. But overall, we did increase our training by about $2,000, because we do expect there could be additional needs with the new entity, and we're still overseeing everything. And with RAT going through for possibly Mesa Manor, we do know that there will be extra training for that also.
Our staff will need to learn how to administer the tax credits under like the WIDA program. So there will be some additional training when we get into that point, because we're maintaining our own staff. Right. So they'll need to understand the rules for the funding sources.
And then for Mesa Manor, we did decrease our maintenance supplies by about $41,000 in anticipation of the renovation, because we don't want to put in new things just to have them all renovated, especially when we have a larger plan going on. And then we did increase our vehicle elevator maintenance and also water and electricity by about $22,000. Water and electricity, it's just, those costs are just rising. So there's not much we can do there. Same with vehicle. We get charged relatively small amounts compared to what a regular user would be, because we do get to use the city's plan of they buy gas in bulk and things like that. But we do know that everything's costing more, it seems like. And then for the revenue bonds, there were no significant changes at all. That one's just kind of running as it does every year. We just receive our payments from the different revenue bonds that we have out there, and we don't have any project planned with any of those funds this coming year. Mostly because Mesa Manor, I think, will take up a big part of everybody's focus. So with that, I don't have anything else unless you have a specific question somewhere.
still frozen, or is he just stoic?
We're looking at, I'm looking at Sandy to see if she's actually, if you've got anything.
No,
Yeah.
that
Was there
didn't
anything
work,
else?
Jamie, because it's asking me for my email and a password, because that's how I was always signing in, what you sent me. And now it's asking for an email and a password, which,
Are you trying to see the agenda packet, Sandy?
yep,
Can you click the link that Jesse sent us?
I will look. That's the link that I clicked into, so hang on. For the packets, yes. So
Here,
it said link
I
to
have an
agenda
idea.
for board members, and that's what I got to get in, and then they ask me for an email and a password.
Here, I have an idea.
Okay. Yeah, I've never seen this. That's why I didn't have it at all.
Can I just share my screen?
Sure.
I just emailed her the link because I have it up on my computer.
Okay, thank you. That will be very helpful. Thanks, Steve.
I just go through the city's website.
Yep, that's what I usually do too.
Well, that's what I thought I did last time, but I clicked the link that Just sent, and that's what it opened it up to. And I apologize for this. It's the first time I've had a problem. I'm in.
Ah.
Thank you.
Stop sharing then, in case somebody messages me something that would be awful to have on permanent record at City of Green Bay.
Yeah.
That's
be careful for that stuff.
stuff. I'll tell you.
All right. So is there any further questions for Stephanie about the 2022 budget? Or actually 2023 budget, I suppose.
It's 22, 23. Yep.
Yep.
So I'll ask a Sandy question.
Okay.
So Stephanie, on our COCC, under other income, there's a 5% change in that number. Can you explain why that is such a high number?
Just a second here. Of course, I just closed out of that. COCC, what line did you say? Other income?
Yeah, it looks like INS dividends.
Insurance dividends.
Right, it's got 566% change on that.
Because they actually reinstated an insurance dividend that we recently got. So we're hoping that taking that into consideration, that we would get that again if they've already reinstated it, because I don't foresee them reinstating it just for a single year. So we took that into consideration, what that would have been.
Okay.
Anything else, Sandy, that you've spotted on any of these lines? Or
So I see the agenda. I am so sorry I'm having problems with this today, you guys. That's all I see is the agenda. That's all I have, which is great. I like the agenda.
It's good because we approved
Oh,
it.
I see it. Okay, got it all. All righty. Gosh, it didn't show me that. I scrolled down before and it showed me how to Zoom, to do my Zoom. So no, I'm not seeing anything. But I see out of the ordinary, but thank you for letting me.
All right. So one last time, any more questions for Stephanie?
No, good job as always.
Thank you.
All right. So is there a motion to approve the budget?
I'll motion that.
And I'll
All
second.
right. We have a motion and we have a second. Any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the upcoming budget, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Stephanie.
You're not done
All right.
with me yet.
Yeah, I know. You got a lot to do here yet. Okay, so moving on to informational, the GBHA bills. Again, that's in your packet. Anything, I didn't see anything unusual, but I may have missed something. Stephanie, is there anything that jumps out?
Nope. We are getting, the end of our fiscal year is in 8 days here. So that'll be That's the only big thing that's coming up bills wise, because I will have an extra check run to try to catch everything before the end of the fiscal year, but there's nothing new and outstanding in the bills that I have presented.
All right. Very good. Well, we don't need a motion to approve, but if there are any questions, speak up. If not, we'll move on to the GBHA financial report. Again, back to you, Stephanie.
Yes, that was in the packet also. Like I said, we're close to the end of the year, so things are looking good. We are still happy faces, so always good.
All right.
So anything that, I know I like your happy faces. They always a little better. So we have those committed funds, 150,000. Do you remember what I'm sure you do. Could you remind me what those are for?
We had set aside, I don't remember what year, but it was a few years ago, we had set aside 150,000 for elevator.
Okay, it was elevator.
Rehabilitation for the 2 central elevators.
Yep, that's what I was wondering. If it was
most likely, once we go through the RAD, that will go away because either those elevators will be replaced or renovated at that time.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Any further questions for Stephanie regarding the financial report as it presently stands? No. Hearing none, I guess we'll move on. Item number 3 under informational is the Langen report. That's in your packet. Any questions about the Langen report?
So just a question, when the RAD goes through, will we only see Mason Manor on here, and then a separate one on the next meeting for the scattered sites, or how will that work? Or will we have that? Because they're now 2 separate?
We probably should be breaking them up. I would think the scattered sites at the housing GBHA properties 1.
Yeah.
Because the properties entity is going to manage scattered sites. So I would suspect we'll just break them up.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Thanks.
All right. Any questions about the Langen report? No. All right, then we'll move on to the director's report. Sure.
All right, so we continue on our RAD process, which is a lot of paperwork and authority. We're waiting for HUD responses, I think, at this point, Jamie, right? To continue on, but we did submit our application to the State Historical Preservation Office for historical tax credits for this project. And I have to tell you that I can forward this on to you guys. You can read it. It's interesting, but I was not aware of this. And our historic pres guy told us that the Green Bay Housing Authority actually was created originally in December of 1945.
Oh.
For the sole purpose of providing housing for veterans that were coming back from the war. Oh, wow. So Indiana had set up this temporary housing city as a result of the war. And then they had all these houses that they were like going to tear apart, right, and reassemble somewhere. So the mayor and council passed a resolution recognizing this emergency, critical housing shortage, right? And the GBHA was directed to use $220,000 to purchase, dismount, and re-erect 100 houses. So
this was in 45.
In 45. Yep. 46 actually. 46. So we got this company, we contracted with a company out of Oshkosh for $131,000 to package the houses in Indiana and relocate them and erect them in Green Bay. So we did 100 units, the Federal Public Housing Authority, and we paid $63,000 for those 100 units.
Oh my God.
Which included a space heater and a gas range, but not a refrigerator, despite agreements that they should have been included. So they were like, yeah, right.
I don't think they were called refrigerators back then. I think they were ice boxes.
Ice boxes, probably, right? So the house
Green Bay was an ice box. I mean, an ice hub at that time.
Well, that's true. It probably wasn't a big deal because to build a box, probably put our ice chunks in. But so you could get a 1-bedroom unit for $2,500. You get a 3-bedroom for $3,250. And then, so there are still those houses still erected. In
I was
Green
just
Bay.
going to ask if they're here.
Yep. There's one at 1202 South Oakland Avenue. And then primarily the houses were built or placed on between 9th and 7th, just west of the Northwestern Railroad.
Mhm.
So in total,
Tank Park?
87 units.
Is that Tank?
Yes.
Tank School? No, isn't the other side?
No.
Well, it's Tank, maybe 9th and 7th is Tank, and it's Marquette Park, maybe.
Marquette Park, yeah.
So think of this like the smaller houses.
Yeah.
So in total, 87 units were erected on sites provided by the city, and 13 were erected on privately owned lots, right?
Wow.
So this is the best part, after it was all done, there was a surplus of money, $27,000. And they refunded that to all the veterans that bought the houses. They just split it up and gave them the money.
So they could get a refrigerator.
They could buy a refrigerator.
Or a nice box.
And then the GBHA was disbanded on January 6th, 1948. So there was a Green Bay Housing Authority that had like a little temporary use back then. And then they kept it till 48 and then got rid of us. And then we reformed again. So I thought that was interesting, right?
Very.
That.
But now that you mentioned that, something sticks in my mind that one of my uncles, who was a veteran of World War II, may have actually lived in one of those houses. May have been one of the people that bought one.
Right.
Because my family was from the area, and I know they all moved back here after the war.
There's a lot of Cape Cods in there. There's there's even a couple level entries that I was surprised to see, because they were older homes and they were very small ranches, but they were level entries. Yep. Yeah.
So, so that's my report. And we plug on.
Very
Cool.
good.
Very cool.
All right. Just a question, any COVID related issues that popped up at any of the scattered sites or at Mason Manor? I know there's been kind of a resurgence of some of that stuff in the area. Just wondering if we've had any impact at any of our sites.
We have one at Mason Manor that possibly has COVID. Not sure right now, but scattered sites, no.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been dodging the bullet at Mason Manor, which is.
And I mean,
great.
I was just going to say that's one person is pretty doggone good.
And that's, I think that's a credit to the staff and everything that you've been doing to keep everybody safe.
Yes.
So keep up the good work. That's amazing in light of what's been going. I was at a conference last week. That's why I missed the meeting. And we had 3 speakers that canceled because they had COVID, which kind of made a mess out of the conference, but that's what's going on.
Yeah.
Did you get your continuing ed in, Bill?
I certainly hope so. I'm waiting for a report yet. They probably knocked a couple of credits off. Although one of the speakers did give her a report from home. She said she wasn't feeling all that bad, but she didn't come into the conference. She just did it via Zoom. So.
And did you all thank her for that?
Yes. Yes.
We did have, it's not under, Jamie, if you want to share, we did have a bit of an incident at Mason Manor this week. Jamie, if you want to share that.
Yes. So I'm not sure if you're on Green Bay Crime Reports. However, we had a vehicle come in off of Locust, which is Notre Dame, at a pretty high speed into our driveway. Drove into our dumpster, pinballed off of the dumpster, went up on the grass, hit a car, which ran into another car, pinballed across the drive, and then totaled 2 more cars. So
resident cars?
Yes, 4 were totaled. Or 2, we're assuming 2 are totaled. 4 were severely damaged.
Was anybody hurt?
What's that?
Was anybody hurt?
The driver was taken to the hospital, but I believe was released. And then the 2 other males in the vehicle were fine.
So there was no people in the resident cars,
Correct. They were all parked.
just parked. Thank goodness.
What time did that happen?
About 7:30 Tuesday night.
And
Huh.
was there a reason given?
We have heard a few mixed stories, but what's kind of coming clear is a medical emergency.
Okay. Oh,
Gosh.
And how lucky it's 7:30 at night that nobody was walking around.
Right.
exactly.
Yeah, people
In the
were.
parking lot.
Yeah. Dash into the dumpster because the dumpster spinned into our driveway.
Right.
So they heard that, and then I think kind of just like backed off and was cognizant of like the whole thing that was going on.
Yeah.
It's too
the
hot to be
video.
outside.
Yeah, so it was a little crazy. Lots of fire, lots of PD, lots of emergency
Sure.
personnel.
Sure.
Oh,
And I'll tell you, those poor residents that had their cars possibly totaled or damaged, that if it's totaled, to try to get a used car now, it's going to be difficult. That probably what it's totaled for. That's
Right.
too bad. That is too bad.
Yeah. Super sucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yikes.
all right. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Thanks,
Okay.
can't load. That's great.
Yeah.
We'd rather tell you than have you watch it on Green Bay Crime Report on Facebook. You're like, what?
Yeah. All right. Moving on then to, well, anything else for Cheryl? Nothing? All right. Then we'll move on to the occupancy report.
Oh, sorry. That's me. Squirrel. Okay. Yep. So just general, pretty much the same as last month. We are still trying to create our vacancies. We do have 3 tentatively coming in the next few weeks, so that will make our developer quite happy. But yeah, we're just keeping on.
This is so cool.
Very
You
good.
guys are doing a great job. I mean, that's hard to clear a whole floor. You guys are doing great. Has anybody
All right.
like complained about having to move or
We
You
haven't
love-
moved anybody yet, Sandy.
you haven't? Okay.
No.
All right.
We're
These
just
are
letting our
all just-
vacancy go.
Yeah, these
Gotcha.
are people who are either being evicted for cause or
Gotcha.
just they're
Okay.
deciding to move.
Okay. Start.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Then we move on to next meeting date, which will be July 21st,
And if
2022.
there's nothing for that agenda, I will cancel that meeting. We normally do that in the summer. So
Yeah.
unless something comes up, we may not need to meet, but I'll keep you posted.
Okay. All right. Then it looks like we are ready for adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn, but don't leave?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right. Is there?
Me. 2.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned, and we now move to GBHA properties.
All right. So now somebody get Sandy the other link.
Already.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try the links that Jess sent me and nope, it gives me the same thing.
Sandy, the second email I sent you has the properties agenda.
Oh, sorry, I didn't look that you saw a second. I apologize. I just went into Jess's second email for, yeah. I will do that. Thank you.
Okay. Everybody ready?
Yep,
Before
I'm
we
in.
get going, Stephanie, I saw your email about you're having trouble yet getting that tax ID number for GBHA properties. Did you ever get that worked out?
You're muted.
You're muted.
No, I was hoping to talk to you after the meeting on that.
Okay, that's what I was asking. So I will stick around and we will chat.
Thank you.
All right, so are we ready to start? Looks like we have a quorum. So, and roll call. So we'll move on to item number 1, approval of the agenda for the June 23rd, 2022 meeting of GBHA Properties 1 Incorporated. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make it.
Oh, hey, wait. On the civic clerk, did you guys seen an agenda?
Yep, I just pulled it up.
Oh, that's weird. I click on it and it shows me nothings.
I went to packet.
Oh, you hit the button up at the top. Okay, sorry. Never mind. Sorry. It just wasn't in the.
Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one befuddled today.
Lots of befuddlement going on here.
I would approve this.
I made a motion, you can second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The agenda is approved. Moving on to item D, approval of the minutes from the May 19th, 2022 meeting of GBHA Properties 1 Incorporated. That's in your packet for the meeting. Any additions, corrections, or modifications to those minutes? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
All right. I'll make a
Don't make
motion.
a motion, I'll second.
I've got a motion. We've got a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, now we move on to regular business. Consideration with possible action on approval of GBHA Properties 1 Inc. operating budget for the 2022. And that is in our packet. Get to it here.
Yeah, Jamie, you had sent me all that stuff out originally in that link. I just didn't go past the how to make a Zoom call. So I apologize for my confusion in the beginning.
I have a, Steph, before you jump in, I have a dumb question. How do we have a percentage of budget changed? Isn't this our first one?
I used what we had originally set for our scattered sites using GBHA's information.
Okay.
So that way you had a comparison of what we'd always done in the past as to what we're doing now.
Okay. That makes sense. Yep.
Otherwise, everything would be 100% increase.
Right. I mean, that's kind of math I could do.
Because if you do look on the first column, it says GBHA's 2020, the year budget is wrong. It should say 21-22 budget, but that's GBHA's budget.
Okay.
Oh, I was just looking at the wrong one. So yeah, I did specify which pieces went with which. Are we ready?
Right. Yeah, please. Sorry. Thank you.
All right. So the major change is that now Properties 1 has scattered sites. At the rental income, we should have an increase of about $276,000 overall if all our units are rented every month, all year long. And in conjunction with
$276,000 annually, not every month.
Annually, that's an increase.
Okay.
A $276,000 increase as to what we had originally had with our GBHA scattered sites. Right.
Not every month, every year.
Yes,
okay.
Sorry.
Cool.
And then also.
So can I quickly ask where that comes from? Is that just comes from increased rent?
Yes, because we can, with GBHA, they take the cost of what it would be for each unit, and then we only get a percentage of that. So we were already running short money for what we get for operating subsidy. But with the properties being that we're technically not a government entity, we are a landlord. They can't not pay a landlord their full rents. So we get 100% of the rents we should get.
Okay.
We're not charging more rent. The tenants rent have stayed the same, Sandy, but we just get the bigger increase from that 30% to the.
And that was the reason for doing this. Okay. Yep. Thank you.
And then also on that, our non-contract maintenance decreased by a little over $18,000. And what that was is when we had our maintenance help from outside sources because we were having problems finding staff, that's where that money went to. So we're just letting you know that hopefully we'll save about $18,000 this year because we have staff and they're all happy and not leaving, hopefully. Then also we are looking at decreasing our water and sewer costs by 15,000 because we did move all of our single family homes to the tenant pays for that. They get a subsidy from ICS to help cover those costs, but they are in charge of those utilities then. So we don't have to front the bill for that.
Oh,
And then we are increasing about $6,000. We're going to try to get a lease for a vehicle. I don't know what kind of vehicle, Jamie, if you could chime in. You're muted.
Still muted.
Still muted, Jane.
Let's try this again. Like one of the trucks that like the city inspectors have, like a bigger cab, more comfortable.
Ability to
you would
handle
lease
more
it.
things.
Who would you lease it from? You would just lease it from wherever the city does the leases from, or you'd lease it from the city?
The city has the city is leasing privately for
Okay, that's what I
vehicles right now. So we'd go under that contract with the city.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, our maintenance guys for scattered sites, they're driving around a lot. They just need a better vehicle to haul the whatever toilets,
Sure.
all that fun stuff that they need.
Yeah,
to
truck stuff.
truck stuff.
This came up at our water commission meeting earlier this week. Has any thought been given, with doing this through the city, whether they're going to go to electric vehicles?
I don't know. I'd have to check with Diana and finance to see if they're exploring that.
Okay.
It'd be nice. I mean, I think there's probably more of an upfront cost, but I bet there's a lot of savings in the gas tank.
But you got to get charging stations and all the rest of that set up. But that came up at the water utility, and they figured that with their use of it, it wouldn't work because they need to just hop in those vehicles and go, and they just put gas in them, and they can't wait around for them to be charged. So their use is more emergency basis than other stuff. But I think with us, if we could go that route, it might save us some money.
Yeah, they charge all night.
Yeah. All right. Any further questions on the budget? A motion to approve, and I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
All right, a motion and a second. Any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you again, Stephanie, for all your work putting this all together.
Yep.
And making it generally understandable by those of us who are befuddled. So, all right, moving on to informational. Anything, Cheryl, on the informational side?
The only thing I wanted to mention is we do have in our training budget a couple of spots for commissioners if you're ever interested in going.
I saw that.
The WAHA training. Once we get the agenda, we'll ship it out. And then if anyone's interested in attending, they certainly.
Okay.
I think there's one in September, right, Jamie? That's coming up. And they actually do have, I think, sections for commissioners at that training sometimes. So.
Yes, it's been many years, but I went to a couple of them about maybe 10 years or more ago, and they had separate sections for commissioners.
Yeah. So.
And where are they?
One in September is in Lake Geneva, I believe.
The fall conference is in Lake Geneva?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Depends on dates on that, because I know that it was something that you wanted some of the commissioners to go to year after year, but I think I've already got stuff booked for like the middle of September. So, but I'm just wondering what the dates are. So
we can send that information out.
Yeah, just send it out and to everybody, and we'll see what we can do.
Okay, thank you.
All right, great.
Good.
Anything else? All right. I think we are then ready for adjournment.
Daryl,
is there a motion?
Do we,
Go ahead.
if we do not need a housing authority meeting in July, would we likely not need a properties one meeting in July also?
Correct.
Because
Okay.
I mean, not that I don't love seeing you guys, but that would be really great to, either have all or nothing.
We try to
We
work it that way,
just-
Steve.
We can just stack things up in August and we'll have a 5-hour meeting.
I don't think we've ever had a 5-hour meeting.
Yeah, you guys have been very, very good about putting agendas together that are very.
Yes.
useful.
Yeah, you guys are awesome.
So we appreciate it.
Well, and I guess just one more thing, Sandy, and you can help me on this, but I was just a while ago was made aware that a housing advocate for Green Bay passed away, Tom Diedrich, who sat on the Brown County Housing Authority for many, many years. I worked with him on the Community Housing Resources Board, like
Years
25,
ago.
years and years ago. So he's really been a housing advocate for a long time, and he passed this last month, I think, right?
Yeah, May 24th. Yeah,
So-
he was our executive director for an employee and then executive director. He worked at Options for 37 years.
For many, many years. So just on the record, rest in peace, Tom. He's a
Yeah,
good,
thank you. Yeah, we miss him. There's something I need to call him on every day, and he's not there
Right,
to talk
right.
to. Yeah, it's hard.
Okay, I have one more dumb question. Are we ever entertaining meeting in person ever again, or are we?
that's up to the board. The redevelopment authority is meeting in person. And some committees aren't. Plan commission is still virtual. So we have the space. If you ever want to come up here, that's a board choice.
This is easier for me.
I like this, especially that we can see each other instead of phone. So it's almost like being there. It would be good to see everybody, but it saves gas, saves time. Yeah.
Why don't we put that on the agenda for the August meeting to consider whether we go back to in person or not? We can have a discussion at that point.
Yeah, if it's 5 hours, I'm not doing it in the conference room.
Yeah.
I'll provide you coffee. Snacks.
Coffee and snacks. All
And
right.
if it's snowing and blowing, I would prefer Zoom.
Yes.
Absolutely.
If it's snowing and blowing in August.
No, not in August. If that's what we're going to talk about. Yeah.
It could
Bring
be.
your
Yeah.
sleeping bags to the meeting.
Yeah.
We'll have to hit up HUD, see if that's okay. All right. I love you guys and I love everything you do.
All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
And I'll
We have a
second.
motion and a second. All in favor of adjournment, except for Stephanie and I, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you all.
Thanks,
Happy
guys.
summer all.
Thank you, ladies and staff, for
Guys,
redoing this meeting after we missed it the last time. So
Yeah.
Yeah, big time. Thank you.
thanks for going through the extra effort for this one. So